Hey guys, welcome back. I can't believe it's 2022 already. The holidays went by quick. I hope they were great for you and your family. I want to start 2022 off on the channel with a feel-good story about helping other people. Of course, it's going to tie in to dermatology, to skincare, but this is a feel-good story that made the rounds from an NHL hockey game, and I'm going to explain a little bit more. I'll see you after the intro. So have you ever been walking through the mall, through a store, something like that, and you notice a spot on somebody and it looks concerning and you want to know what you should say? You're worried about it potentially being cancerous, but how do you make that introduction?
Jolly good work.
Yes, nice to mole you. Meet you. Nice to meet you, mole. Don't say mole.
Stop.
I said mole.
Stop.
Definitely not like that. So when you see something that you're concerned about, first, it's of course easier if you kind of know the person versus if they're a complete stranger. But sometimes if you're worried enough, you need to talk to even a complete stranger about something that you see on their skin. And that's where today's feel-good story comes from. This comes from an NHL hockey game of the Kraken versus the Canucks, Vancouver Canucks, the Seattle Kraken, and somebody sitting behind the Canucks bench noticed a spot on the back of the equipment manager's neck and made a little note on her phone, tapped on the glass, and told him, that spot looks cancerous, you should get it checked out. The equipment manager, Red is his name, he went and eventually did get that spot checked out, and it turned out to be a malignant melanoma. But fortunately, they caught it early enough. It was able to be excised, and this hockey fan essentially saved this person's life because it was not even on their radar at that point. So he put out a notice on social media sometime later saying, hey, this happened. This person saved my life. I want to find them. Can you help me? And of course, the internet sprung into action. The two different hockey teams started doing some research. I'm sure they know who has tickets to every game and what seat they might have been sitting in. But Nadia is her name, Nadia Popovich. She's a soon-to-be medical student. They found her and they had a reunion at the next hockey game. And this video was made. I want to play it for you.
We partnered with the Canucks to find a Kraken fan who was at our home opener. This fan changed the life of the Canucks assistant equipment manager, Red Hamilton. She was sitting behind the Canucks bench, and by banging on the glass, she alerted him that she thought the mole on the back of his neck could be cancerous and should get checked by a doctor. Red followed her advice and discovered it was a malignant melanoma, and it was immediately removed. This afternoon, we found that fan. 22-year-old Nadia Popovich is starting medical school this year and used her knowledge from volunteering on oncology wards. Her courage to speak up in that moment helped her to become Red's hero. This evening, Red and Nadia were reunited, and she is here tonight, back in those same lucky seats she sat in on opening night. Nadia,
very cool.
The Kraken and the Canucks cannot thank
awesome.
you enough. And together, we would like to give you $10,000 toward your college
She didn't know that was
tuition.
going to happen at all.
We know you're going to make a phenomenal doctor.
She'll make a great doctor. That's such a fun story, such a feel-good story of going out of your way and doing something for somebody else. And that's something that we can all do. Now, hopefully you're not seeing people every day that might have melanoma or something else concerning. But if you do happen to see somebody, what are the things you should be looking for that might tip you off that they have something concerning on their skin? That would be the ABCDEs of melanoma, as we call them. So I want to take you through those so that you might be a little bit more aware of what could be concerning and what might not be concerning. And, you know, saying something to somebody does take courage. Hopefully you're never in that position. And hopefully you're wrong if you do say it. And, you know, that's, of course, the risk that you have to take. She took that risk, and it was life-saving in that moment. So let's talk about the ABCDs. The first is asymmetry. If a mole is asymmetric, meaning one side of the mole looks different than the other side, that could be a concerning feature. B stands for border. An irregular border is more likely to be cancerous than a nice, round, smooth border. So if a border has notches in it or jagged lines, then it may be something that needs to be evaluated by a dermatologist. C stands for color. A mole should generally be of one uniform color. Sometimes we may see more than one color, but anytime you start seeing 2, 3, 4 colors in a mole, especially if the colors are pitch black or blue and white colors, those things are highly suspicious for a malignant melanoma, and they should be evaluated by a dermatologist. D stands for diameter. We're talking about the size of a mole. So diameter being greater than 6 millimeters or about the size of an average pencil eraser. If a mole gets to be bigger than that, it may be more concerning. Now, it is possible for a melanoma to be caught at an early stage when it's much smaller than that, and that's where regular screenings from a dermatologist can be helpful. But if a mole becomes larger than 6 millimeters, it might be a good idea to have that checked out. And then E has been added to this simple algorithm. E stands for evolution, meaning change. So if a mole has looked one way for many, many years, and now all of a sudden it looks another way, that can certainly be a concerning sign. And change in an existing mole is one of the most concerning things that make us lead to do a biopsy on that patient. So the ABCDEs of melanoma, you should be familiar with those and do self-skin exams on a monthly basis. And if you have family members, look at their back. Help other people to monitor their own moles, because almost without exception, if a skin cancer is caught at very early stages, it can always be cured. Now, there are, of course, exceptions, but that is by and large the rule. If you can catch skin cancer early, it's almost always treatable. So be familiar with the ABCDs of melanoma and have the courage to speak up if you have a loved one or sometimes even a stranger who could benefit from getting a mole checked out. I once was going through TSA airport security and saw that one of the agents had a really big thing on their forehead that looked like a skin cancer. Now, this didn't look like a melanoma. It was probably more of a basal cell carcinoma, if I had to guess. And I didn't say anything the first time. And then the very next month, I was on the same trip and I said, I got to say something this time. And I asked the agent if they'd had that looked at. And he looked at me like I had 3 heads. It was a little bit awkward, I'll be honest with you, but I felt good that I said something. He told me it had been checked out by his doctor and he was told it was fine. And I said, I really would encourage you to go see a dermatologist. And I don't know if they ever did. I hope that they did. But it was an instance when I spoke up and even I felt awkward doing it. And that's my job. But if you see something, it's okay to say something and you just may save somebody's life. Have a great 2022. I look forward to seeing you back on the channel and watching the channel grow and being able to interact with you as we learn and take better care of our skin and better care of our health overall. Have a great year.